All right. Well, hello everyone. Good morning and welcome to our 2026 Renewal Ramp-Up webinar. As the name suggests, this webinar is going to be discussing the renewal process, the timeline, some common questions we get, and basically everything you need to know to have a smooth renewal process. Um, Thank you to everyone who is able to attend. If you are not able to be here or are not able to stay for the entirety of the webinar, don't worry. We will have the recording of this posted online afterwards at cscpool.org/renewal. Today, our presenters will be Michael Brantner and Juan Lacayo, talking about property and liability and workers' compensation, respectively. If at the end of this presentation you still have questions or would like to follow up with us, if you look to the right of your screen, you will see under Renewal Support a number of emails where our team is able to get those and then eventually contact you and answer any remaining questions that you may have after today. So a quick overview of how this webinar is going to go. Are going to start by discussing the timeline of renewal and then move forward into the workers' compensation specifics, then talk about property and liability, and then move into a Q&A. During the Q&A, we will be pulling questions from the chat in Teams. So if you do have questions throughout the webinar, please type those into the chat. We will circle back around to those at the end. And like I said, if we don't have time to get through all the questions or something is very, very specific to your district, then you can contact us afterwards and we will have our contact information displayed at the end. Okay, so timeline. We are going to email renewal invitations in early to mid-September. Within that email, we will also include various information on rates, coverage changes, reminders about renewal, and a link to the website. There will be several reminders to submit your renewal information throughout September and October, so if you don't get one, you should be getting a couple others. We want to make sure that nobody forgets. For property and liability, please know that the website does close on end of business day, October 31st. So be sure that for property and liability, you have all of your information submitted and taken care of beforehand. We will begin reviewing your renewal update submissions on a first in, first out basis. So the sooner you get your stuff in, the sooner we'll be able to get it out to you. If you have any questions or are missing any details on your submission, we will reach out to you. So please keep an eye out for any emails from us asking for additional information or clarification. So this is always a big question that we get. When will you get your renewal documents? Members who qualify as a small member will have their renewal documents issued the earliest in late August, early September. We will begin issuing property and liability coverage documents after October 2nd. Please note that workers' compensation and property and liability renewals are processed and issued separately. So if you submit both and then get one but not the other, don't immediately panic. Those are being processed by different teams, although if you are worried, again, you're more than welcome to contact us and ask where the status of your renewal is. We will review your renewal submissions in the order that your complete submission was received. So if you're in a time crunch or something comes up, please let us know in advance so we can be aware that your renewal has some extra steps to it or that we might need to get that back to you sooner. And again, this is on here multiple times because it's the big reminder. The sooner you submit your updates, the sooner we will get your 2026 coverage documents to you. So for payment, property and liability renewal payments are due January 1st of 2026. For non-deferred districts, automatic cancellation occurs after 60 days, which is March 2nd, per our intergovernmental agreement. For property and liability deferred districts, cancellation occurs after 90 days, so a little bit longer, on March 31st. For workers' compensation renewal, payments are due on January 9th to receive the early payment discount, and intent to cancel notices will not go out until the end of January. Payments can be made either through eBill Express or through the mail. We highly encourage people to use eBill Express just because if it's done online, it's a lot faster and it's a lot easier to keep track of. However, if you do want to use the mail and send us a check, that's also fine. Just be sure to include a copy of your invoice to ensure that payment is applied accurately. Quarterly pay plans are available for property and liability non-deferred districts and some non-BMO workers' compensation district. But if that's something you're interested in, please let us know before December 1st so we can discuss your options there. And finally, from my end, this is a big reminder, please whitelist the domain origamirisk.com or the email notifications@csdpool.org because this will be the domain/email that reminders will be sent to you through. And if you don't specifically whitelist it, there's a high chance that it'll go to spam and that you might miss some of those emails coming through. If you're not sure how to whitelist it, don't worry, just keep an eye on your spam folder to be sure that you're not missing any important reminders or questions from us requesting more documentation or trying to clarify something with you. Okay, and with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Juan Lacayo. Juan?
Thanks, Mackenzie. Good morning, everyone. My name's Juan Lacayo, and I work as an underwriter on the CSD Pool's workers' compensation team. This will be my third renewal with the pool this year. Let's begin by discussing the different coverage types and the renewal process for each of them. Board member only coverage is for districts with 0 employees and is specifically designed to cover only the administrative duties performed by district board members. The annual contribution for BMO coverage remains the same at $450 for members with a broker and $445 for members without a broker. There is no online update required for districts with board member only coverage. BMO coverages were automatically renewed on August 14th. The only action required for board member only coverage is to report to the pool when a board member's annual stipend exceeds $1,200. Intent to cancel notices will be issued to districts for non-payment on January 30th, 2026. So please mark that date on your calendars or set a reminder for that date. Payroll coverage applies to all other members with at least 1 employee. Members with payroll coverage should budget a 5 to 10% contribution increase over any increase that you might normally see due to an increase in that district's payroll. You should expect to see renewal instructions emailed to your district contact or broker, if applicable, in mid-September. Please ensure that your renewal updates are submitted by the October 17th submission deadline. So mark that date on your calendars too, please. It's critical that you report estimated annual payrolls for each individual employee for the 2026 renewal, and that you review your employees' class codes for accuracy. Once submitted online and processed by our service team, renewal issuance could begin as early as mid-October, depending on whether we have received the approved rating factors from the Division of Insurance, and it will conclude by Thanksgiving. Please note that in the absence of your renewal updates, an automatic 10% increase on payroll will be applied starting on December 1st. Another date to remember is January 9th, as mentioned earlier. Your district's workers' compensation contribution or proof of payment must be received by January 9th to take advantage of the early pay discount. And just like with the BMO coverages, intent to cancel notices will be issued to districts on January 30th for non-payment. Next slide, please. As you can see on the example payroll schedule, the data that's absolutely essential for your workers' compensation renewals are the individual employee first and last names, official job title, classification code, employment status, and estimated annual payroll. We'll reach out to you for clarification if your renewal submission is missing any of these items, which could delay your renewal issuance. Next slide, please. Please note that the Division of Workers' Compensation requires self-insured pools to collect individual employee job titles, payrolls, and employment statuses. Because of this, pool members are required to submit individual employee names or identifiers like initials or employee ID numbers, as well as submitting estimated annual payrolls, official job titles, and class codes. Any budgeted positions that have not been filled by the time of your renewal submission should be labeled as open for the employee name. This also applies to all unfilled seasonal positions. Identical positions must be listed individually on the employee schedule, which means that if you have 20 lifeguards on staff, then we expect to see 20 lifeguard positions with individual payrolls. Employees expected to leave employment with the district during the 2026 coverage period should still be listed on the employee schedule with prorated payroll reflecting their separation dates. Please be sure to double check your total payroll and employee counts to ensure that all fields are filled in, because missing information will trigger another data request, which could delay the issuance of your renewal. And finally, remember that overtime pay should be converted to straight pay. Now, I'd like to open up the floor to any questions if you have any. And check the chat. If board members are not compensated, do we need to set up BMO? We recommend that you do set up BMO if you want your board members covered, even if they aren't compensated. We use $1,200 as our a minimum for rating purposes. You don't have to pay them the $1,200. It's just something that we use internally. So even if you don't pay them anything, reporting $1,200 just lets us know that we need to use the minimum. If there are no other questions, you're welcome. If there are no other questions, then I will step aside and allow, hold on, we got another one here. As you use $1,200 for board members, do you have an amount for volunteers? So when it comes to fire agencies, volunteer EMS and volunteer firefighters, we use $2,500 as the minimum, not contribution, but stipend. And again, it's just for rating purposes. Okay. Seeing no other questions, hearing no other questions, and I'd like to welcome Mike Brantner to guide you through the 2026 property and liability renewal.
Thanks very much, Juan. Very good morning to everyone joining us. My name is Mike Brantner. I'm a senior underwriter with the pool. It's my pleasure to hit the highlights of the renewal process on the property and liability side. By and large, the process is unchanged over last year, so this should just be a refresher. Go ahead and advance the slide if you would, please, Mackenzie. We'll get into it. Thank you. All right, so we'll go over the timeline briefly, just as we did earlier. The process begins in early September when renewal instructions are emailed to our members. Our target is September 2nd, which is the day after Labor Day. Hopefully that day or soon thereafter, you'll receive an email from us announcing that the renewal window is open and you can begin submitting your information. The window for submitting renewal information will close on October 31st. Districts that have not submitted their information by the time the window closes will incur a 10% penalty on their renewal contribution, and we will automatically issue the documents. So if we're getting close to Halloween and you're still in danger of not getting in under the wire, please let us know so that we can help. The purpose of the renewal survey is to update your exposures so that we can issue accurate coverage upon renewal on January 1st. This includes updates to general liability, property, inland marine, and automobile schedules. In certain circumstances, we may require additional applications and/or documents. These will be included in your district's renewal survey, or we may email them to you for completion. Let's take a little more detailed look at the schedules and applications, starting with general liability. Mackenzie, thank you. The GL schedule is used to understand the exposures specific to your district and allows us to set appropriate contribution based on your premises and operations. The GL schedule is made up of class codes. There are separate codes for items, things like operating expenses. the square footage of the premises you occupy, payroll, number of board members, etc. Your renewal survey will be populated with the GL codes currently in use, and you only need to make corrections. Please look over the list to ensure that you are using the correct codes and add or remove codes as appropriate. There are two very important class codes that are often misinterpreted: total operating expenses and services contracted out to others. We're going to go over these in a little bit more detail. Your operating expenses should come from your 2026 budget, even if only preliminary. If your final budget has major changes, please let us know so that we can revise the GL schedule. The amount you submit for the class code should essentially be your operating expenses minus debt services, capital projects, interest on taxes, money put into a contingency or reserve fund, and financial transfers to other districts. If your district provides more than one service, such as water and sanitation, you must divide your operating expenses between each applicable class code. If your expenses don't match any of the categories, please enter them as other. Please include all expenditures, even those paid to a vendor or contractor, utilities, and other fees. The opposite of total operating expenses are services contracted out to others. These are expenses for services that a district contracts out by choice or because they don't have any employees and are scheduled in Class Code 900. Services contracted out by necessity should not be included in services contracted out. Examples of this are audit and legal services. These are contracted out because in most cases they cannot be performed by a district. An example of a legitimate SCO is landscape maintenance or snow removal, assuming the district has employees who could perform those functions. Because services contracted out reduces the liability exposure of the district, we apply a contribution credit against these expenses. It's very important to note that a district's SCO figure should never equal or exceed the TOE. Please double check your numbers to ensure this isn't the case. All right. If your district has sanitation operation expenses, you are eligible for a 33% discount on that portion of your GL contribution. In order to have the discount included in your renewal, you must sign and submit the sanitation maintenance warranty deductible endorsement. By doing so, you warrant that your sewer lines are regularly inspected and maintained in accordance with your procedures and industry best practices. If you have sanitation operations, your renewal survey should include the endorsement, and the signed form should be uploaded prior to submitting the survey. So once you're done with the GL schedules, you'll move on to the property, inland marine, and automobile schedules where applicable. All property must be included on the appropriate schedule for coverage to apply. This includes buildings, contents, pipes, outdoor property, etc. If your district owns property that is not scheduled, you must add it or it will not be covered. The survey will include everything on your current schedules with some adjusted values. Most property will show a value that has been trended upward according to its construction type to reflect a higher replacement cost. Most vehicles will show a value that has been trended downward to reflect depreciation. Please also pay attention to whether your assets are valued at actual cash value, as is the case with most vehicles that are not fire trucks, or at replacement cost, as is the case with most other types of property. Please also review the schedules and correct any inaccurate information like addresses, building information, and serial numbers. A benefit afforded by the pool's property coverage is business income and extra expense. This reimburses lost income and extra costs associated with a covered property loss. If, for example, a rec center must close due to a fire, they can file a claim for costs for utilities, payroll, lost entrance fees from patrons, and even extra costs for relocating administrative staff to a temporary office. If your district has scheduled property, you automatically have this coverage with a $250,000 limit. If your district needs a higher limit, there is a worksheet that must be completed and uploaded prior to submitting the survey. Districts that already have the limit in place will receive the worksheet in the survey. To help you determine the property limit for your district, there is a tool available on our website to help you do the math. If you determine that you need a limit over $250,000, we will be happy to help you with the worksheet. Once again, for 2026, every district will continue to have the wind and hail deductible endorsement as part of their renewal documents. This endorsement states that wind or hail damage has a deductible of 2% of the value of the covered damaged property and applicable business income, with a $5,000 minimum and a $50,000 maximum per occurrence, unless the scheduled deductible is higher. If your district has total property values of greater than $25 million, the maximum deductible per occurrence is $75,000. There is an optional deductible buyback endorsement that reduces the wind and hail deductible to $5,000 per occurrence. There is an annual contribution and it must be added prior to May 1st. The amount of the additional contribution depends on the county in which your district is located. In a hail-prone county along the Front Range, or those listed, the charge is 33% of the property contribution, and in all other counties, it is 10%. If you would like a quote for the endorsement for 2026, you can enter a note in your renewal survey, and we'll send it along with your renewal documents. A quick reminder about Samba Safety, a great program that the pool makes available to you to keep track of district employees driving district vehicles. Samba Safety allows a district to continuously monitor driving records by receiving alerts when a driver has a violation, allowing you to address training needs. This in turn can reduce accidents, thus lowering your overall costs. We are such big proponents of Samba Safety that we will help you pay the costs of the software. Any member with auto coverage not actively using Samba Safety, meaning keeping their driver list current, will receive a 5% surcharge on their auto contributions. So if you're not already taking advantage of Samba Safety and would like to, please review the program details on our website and send us an email to sign up. The next section of the renewal survey involves certificates of coverage. This represents a large portion of our renewal workload because we manually mail hard copies of certificates out to the holders. The list of current certificate holders will be included in the survey. Please review them for accuracy and delete any that are no longer needed. If you see the words bad address on a certificate, it means that last year's certificate was returned to us by the post office. Please email us with the correct address. Otherwise, that certificate will be deleted in this year's process. If there is a certificate that is not listed but is needed, please complete the form on our website or send us an email. If the certificate involves the addition of a lost payee or an additional covered member, we will need the contract mandating the addition so that we can document the need for the additional exposure to your district. All right, the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's talk about the rates for the 2026 coverage. There will be rate increases ranging from 1% to 8% depending on district type. The largest increase will be to the auto physical damage line of business. Excuse me. If you have building property in flood zone A, according to FEMA, the flood rate for those buildings will increase by 5%. A significant factor in determining the contribution for your district is the net loss ratio, which compares your contributions and your claims over the past 8 years. To limit the impact that a severe loss year can have, the most that a loss can count is 3 times the contribution. Similarly, any rate change is limited to 25% in any given year. On a positive side, districts that have been with the pool for at least 7 years are eligible for a continuity credit on a sliding scale from 1% to 20% based on that net loss ratio. All right, last page, I promise. If your district is in one of the Front Range counties listed earlier, there will be a 7% increase to the current surcharge rate on the property and auto physical damage lines of business. This surcharge was added after the severe weather year of 2018, and this is a part of the incremental increases over 10 years to achieve rate stabilization. Volunteer accident rates will increase by 20% with no change to the $50 maximum contribution. While this appears to be a huge increase, the actual contribution amounts for this line of business are very low, so the actual dollar amount increase should be a very small percentage of the district's total contribution. For more details about changes for 2026, including a list of rate changes by district types, please look into the renewal invitation. They'll be listed there. They'll also be presented at the annual membership meeting next month and will be available on our website under the Renewal Information Hub banner. There have been some very minimal revisions to the property and auto physical damage coverage documents. These revisions are merely corrections of numbering and typos. There are no substantive changes to coverage. And finally, all coverage documents for 2026 will be posted to our website by December. All right, deep breath. With that, I will turn it back over to Mackenzie, and we'll take a look at the questions that have been submitted.
All right. Let me check the chat real quick. Though we just finished Michael's section, since this is nearing the end of the presentation, this is opened up for questions about both workers' compensation and property and liability. So if you have any questions, now is the time to put that in. Let me see. Looks like... Oh, wow, we've got plenty of questions. I'm not used to this. Usually everyone goes silent at the end of a presentation. Okay, so Mary Ellen asked, what if there is a chance that an upgrade may be done by the end of 2026, but it is not known if that will happen now?
I would say go ahead and submit the values for the. I'm assuming you're talking about an upgrade to property or one of the other schedules. I would say go ahead and submit things as they are now. As we get into the 2026 year, if the values for property have changed, you can simply send us an email and we'll change the coverages for those specific properties or vehicles and make sure that the coverage continues to be as accurate as possible as the year goes on.
Okay, awesome. And then Eric Hassel has asked, do management and ORC services need to be under SCO? ORC is operator in responsible charge or water treatment.
They
Or water
should
treatment.
be. Yeah, they should stay under total operating expenses. You know, that is money that the district has to pay to operate, needs to pay to provide water to its constituents. And so that should stay under total operating expenses.
Awesome. Mike asked, could we get a copy of the PowerPoint? Yes. Just like the recording of this presentation, the PowerPoint will also be posted on cscpool.org/renewal. So you can go through and review that at your leisure and have all this information available. Corin asked, we use Samba for our out-of-state employees. Do we submit those through the pool for reimbursement? I wasn't 100% clear on that.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Mackenzie?
Yeah, for sure. We use Samba for our out-of-state employees. Do we submit those to the pool for reimbursement?
Yes. Any employees, whether they're in state or out of state, you know, we're happy to reimburse those for the use of Samba. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Rachel asked, is provider credentialing performed by an outside agency, an SEO or TOE?
Provider credentialing. I would need to know a little bit more about what provider credentialing involves. By and large, you know, as I said before with the water district, I think if those are costs that a district needs to pay in order to provide services to their constituents, then they should be under total operating expenses. depending on the circumstances, I'm happy to maybe chat offline and find out a little bit more about what that involves to be able to give you a better answer for that question.
Okay. And they clarified it was credentialing the provider with our payers. If that helps.
Yeah, I think that would probably stay under total operating expenses. By and large, if a district is unable to provide unable to provide those services themselves, like with legal services or insurance services for that matter, they should stay under total operating expenses. If you do it by choice, you could do it, but you contract it out, then it should be under services contracted out. So it sounds like we can chat or email back and forth offline and get a better answer to your question.
And then some of you may have seen our colleagues answering in the chat, Anna Holdren and Leishi. Both of them are with us. So if you see them responding to your questions, they are also valuable sources of information. I just wanted to point that out since Anna added a district should include their total operating expense per our guideline. Of those expenses, you will give us another total of expenses where you can contract out to a third party for which the district has a contract transferring the risk to them.
Right. So the total operating expenses should include your services contracted out. That's why we say that the SCO should not be equal to or exceed the TOE, because the TOE would have all of the above, and then we're going to subtract out the services contracted out for those. So it should everything should be included in the operating expenses, minus those things we talked about before, the debt service and things like that, and then we'll subtract out the services contracted out from there.
Awesome. And then Shay asked, Samba is only for employees who are operating a district vehicle, correct?
Yes. Is that correct, Mackenzie?
Yes, I believe so. Alex, I don't suppose you're on?
If an employee is operating their own vehicle, for example, for district purposes, then the coverage is different. The district is covered under auto liability, but that individual driver is not covered, nor is any property damage that would result from an accident covered. That would be covered by that individual's personal auto insurance. And so that is not something that Samba Safety is set up to monitor. So if district employees driving district vehicles, yeah, okay.
And I'll just also add, Samba Safety is not used for underwriting purposes. So it's a risk management tool for districts to use just to monitor their own risk and their own drivers. So that there's no connectivity going on between what our members are utilizing that for and getting the MVRs pulled and what we use for underwriting purposes. So it's purely a risk management tool to help members stay safe.
The voice from beyond, for those of you who don't know, was our colleague, Alex Terlecki, who's responsible for communications and some of the program management aspects of this. Also a viable source of information. As you can tell, Renewal is always a team effort. Let me see. I think
Thanks,
Anna
Mackenzie.
clarified something. Of course.
Yeah, we recommend. Yeah, I'll read that, Mackenzie. I'm sorry. We recommend any employee who drives any vehicle on district business should be entered into Samba, so the district gets updates to know if there are any issues that need training. I agree with that 100%, and I should have added that. Yeah, as Alex said, it's a risk management tool for you. So even if, because a driver driving their own vehicle, there is still exposure for the district on a liability side should there be an accident. So it would behoove the district to know if those drivers have accidents and violations so that they can address that from a training standpoint. Yeah, I think that's absolutely true.
Okay. For the moment, I'm not seeing any more questions pop up, so I'll give a couple more seconds for people to type in any last-minute questions they may have, or type in the chat, Mackenzie, you missed one, if there's something that I didn't see. But again, just as a reminder for everyone, all of this information, this presentation, and the webinar as a whole will be available at csdpool.org/renewal. That is the link for our Renewal Hub. It's sort of our one-stop shop for all information about Renewal. And if you have any questions that aren't answered on there, if you look at this presentation, the emails are included for different sources you can reach out to get those answered. We're all here to make sure that this process goes as smoothly as possible, so please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions following this presentation. I promise you we are more than happy to help.
And certainly, as you get into the renewal process, into the values collection process, hit us up. We're happy to help any way we can.
All right. I'm not seeing any more questions pop up. So with that, I will bring this to an end. Thank you all so much for coming. We hope that this has been helpful for you all. And as I said previously, any more questions, reach out. We are more than happy to help. Thank you, Juan, Michael, for your time here. It was very informative, and we're always happy to have you talk to people and interact with members. Yeah, any final words for the crowd?
Have a great renewal season. Can't believe we're here already, but here we go. And let us know any way we can help.
Thanks for having us, everybody. Tip your waitresses.
All right. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
Happy
everybody.
renewal season.